one thing that I really, truly and strongly believe in being an HR professional is the human touch aspect, right? And irrespective of the times, whether good or bad, human touch is something which always and always works. At least it has worked for me. And by human touch, I mean being close to employees, right? Knowing their pulse and then involving them rather in the decision making exercise so that you get the maximum buy in, right? Now, uh, and of course, all of this happens through constant engagement. So during the lockdown times, uh, how did we really do this constant engagement? We did loads and loads of communication, right? And being very, very transparent with people. So I was just talking about the business scenario that we had when when the lockdown began. None of our categories qualified in the essentials, categories. None of our products, and business was at a standstill, right? To an extent that it was zero, right? And one question that people had in their minds across hierarchies, across functions, across levels was obviously about business insecurity, job insecurities rather. Right? So what we did was we conducted a town hall and we said, look, we know, everybody knows we are in a cash flow crunch situation, right? And things are not going to change overnight. It is at least a 3 to 4 month scenario. We are throwing two options to you, and it was almost like a poll. And we said, you tell us what to do, right? Obviously, initially we did one-on-one conversations with the team leaders who were handling large teams because eventually they are answerable to their teams, and of course they know the ground realities better. But we still threw the question to the entire organization. One, we sack people because obviously there is no production, there is no sales. So we can easily sack people and hire them back after 6 months or 3 months or whenever we feel the need. And of course, there is no dearth of talent in a country like India. So we sack people. That's one option. Second, we keep some part of the salary, as a deferment or rather an amount on hold. So basically, we pay say 80% or 90% of your salary, and hence we'll be able to give that 80% money or 90% salary to everybody. So we don't sack people, but we put some part of salary on hold so that at least the lamps keep burning in everybody's houses, right? Uh, because a lot of companies were sacking people, a lot of companies were taking salary cuts, and while they were the obvious two choices to be done by every company, but we said let our people answer that question for us. So everybody chose the second option, which was this: we are okay for a slightly lesser salary, but at least some running income should come in everyone's homes, right? Because in this situation, let's assume one person of the two of the couple, like once one person of husband slash wife will lose a job, and it is very very risky if the other person also loses a job, and then there's no running income in the family, right? So we said that we will not sack anyone. We will have everybody on board,
Sure.
but we will manage with a slightly lesser salary for 3 months at the moment. And we
Right.
said it is a deferment of salary. The moment we hit the business back, we will pay this money back to you.
Sure.
So I think the kind of buy-in that we got right in the first leg of the lockdown was tremendous. And with that, whatever decisions we started taking, people used to believe in us. People used to feel that, we are a part of this decision. And hence, the company cannot think anything negative about us, right? So it was almost like they are a part of the whole decision. Second thing we did was we said, while, you guys are at home, we will invest in you, right? We did a lot of capability building sessions, like a lot of them, like, right from functional trainings to wellness sessions to posh trainings to tax planning sessions to yoga sessions. I mean, you just name it and we've done it, right? HR processes sessions, and honestly, hand on heart, I think it was the best time for the HR team to catch all these people at once. Zero training cost because it was all through Zoom.
Right.
It was all in-house, and we followed the design thinking approach. We spoke to a lot of people. We understood what exactly are your needs, and we tailored the training sessions for them because there was so much of time. And yeah, we could catch hold of all the sales people, all the production people who were never available at any given point in time. And hence these trainings, were being procrastinated for almost the past 6 to 8 months. So we did all of that at once. And the third thing which really, really worked for us were the fortnightly town halls that we did, right? So what we did was the CEO used to address everyone, and it makes a lot more impact when the individual actually sees the larger picture, knows where exactly you stand in the industry, knows what's happening around, and how well are we prepared to handle the situation, right? I think that really worked for us. We did a lot of skip level meetings where, again, people connected with their skip level bosses, which was a less likely feature in the regular times because of lack of time. And I think the more senior people you connect to, the more larger picture, the more long term picture you get to see. And of course, the more trust you get with the, in the organization.
So,
And I think the last thing that we did was we invested a lot in building new functions and new products. So we knew that if the situation continues and we are not able to sell any of our products, it was probably inevitable to get into the essentials space. We started making new products so that at least the wheel starts running, even if the revenue is smaller. We invested in e-commerce by leaps and bounds because we knew our business majorly falls in the retail, wholesale, and the parlor channel. All of that was not, the scene was not looking very positive. And we said, let's invest a lot in the e-commerce setup. There was 1 month where the revenues were higher through e-commerce than through retail pan India, right? So when you show all of this to your people, when you talk about all of this, they know that the leadership is trying to figure things out. The leadership is trying to find newer ways. We are in safe hands, and eventually all of us are in it together.
so,
So I think that really, really worked for us. And the moment the lockdown opened, people, the enthusiasm, the motivation with which people landed up in the markets and on the production floors, I think it was just amazing. Probably never seen before, even in the regular time.
very good.
So yeah,
So, thank you, Kalpana, for bringing out those three best practices about employee communication, the buy-in that
right.
you created amongst the employees, and
Hmm, hmm.
the capability investments,
Right.
capability development investments that you did, and the third thing that you talked about, innovation in terms of new products and innovation in terms of new distribution channels.
Absolutely.
So, those are very vital, I think. Yeah, Manpreet finally, I think, is trying to, okay, just coming in, I guess. Yeah. So, yeah, so good. Thank you, Kalpana, for all that perspectives, and
Sure.
it's useful for everybody else to listen and relate to it. Yeah,
Mhm.
if we come to Shuddha, can you talk about your perspectives?
Yeah, definitely, Aditya. So thank you so much. I believe Manpreet is also coming in.
Yeah, so it's
So yeah.
just coming in, connecting to audio right now. Yeah. Yeah.
So and thanks, Rupal, for this connect with me for this session. And uh, I would basically, kind of talk about my learnings uh, as an HR person, which has happened in last 3.5 months. In fact, I was thinking that when I retire, I have a dream of writing a book, My HR Journey.
Mhm.
And these 3 months are definitely going to, kind of have a major portion in that book as a full chapter, because the kind of learning I had in last 3.5 months is enormous. I didn't have it in last 19 years. Uh, so if I talk about the experience, how it went, and what are the learnings, I'll try to divide the entire thing into two parts. One is during lockdown, and second is the post lockdown period.
Okay.
And the entire discussion would be on an umbrella of business continuity, because the kind of business we are in, so we have got the permission to run our business from almost from the very first day of lockdown. So the lockdown started from 22nd of March, I believe, 22nd or 23rd. And we could start our operation from 2nd of April. So that was the kind of, so in the middle of full lockdown, we were into the business. Now, the, the moment the business started, the first thing which came into picture is starting the plant. So we are having our manufacturing plant in Hyderabad, which is one of the biggest chocolate manufacturing plant in the country, and very integrated, very complex process. So my first challenge which I started facing is the migrant labor issue, because all my temporary staff was gone, because most of the people were either from Bihar or Bengal or Orissa. So in that panic situation, people left. So that was a challenge I faced. Before that, the first challenge what I faced is getting the government permissions, because there are a lot of communications which are floating around in social media in respect to government orders, uh, uh, in respect to different kind of communication from different departments coming in, but they are so confusing that you don't know that who is the right person to approach for getting an order for running the plant. So that was a learning which started coming in. So we could find out that who is the person who can actually certify your plant. What are the measures you need to take for getting that certification to run the plant? What are the safety measures need to be put? Because before that only, before the lockdown only, you have started the safety measures in the plant in respect to all the sanitation process. And as it is a food manufacturing plant, so the sanitation process were already in place. We have to just augment that. And with that, we started. Uh, then I faced those migrant labor issues. I faced a huge resistance from the union, because my plant is in a unionized scenario. So huge resistance in respect to coming to plant, because people are afraid that even if you give them a police pass, whether they will be able to come to the plant. And I had incidences where despite having police pass, they were beaten by police. So how do you handle that? So as Kalpana rightly said, that human touch kind thing which came into picture. So what I did immediately, though our HODs or head of departments or the functional heads, they are supposed to work from home. So I had to break the rule and I had to go to plant and sit there and talk to union face to face, because all these discussions actually don't happen over phone, or it doesn't happen over a Skype meeting or any kind of thing. So you have to go and face them. So taking them into confidence that, okay, the company is there with you. If you don't come, what is the implications going to be? And then taking them on board. I believe that communication, that human touch actually helped me. And we could start the plant. Now the plant started, things were going as usual. Uh, Middle of the lockdown, what we suddenly realized that the kind of financial implications which are going to have, the business continuity is going to be a problem for us. So 1st of June, we had to take a restructuring activity in place, and kind of uh, different functions. We had to actually go into the root cause. We had to go to the drawing board to find out that what are the functions which actually can, we can surrender at this point of time till the time the ship doesn't sink, because our entire mission was at that point of time so that the ship doesn't sink. So how to shed that extra weight and everything. So around 300 people at in one day, we had to take a decision that we have to part ways. So we did that. It was a painful exercise for any HR person. Is not a good exercise to do, but sometimes looking at the business scenario, you have to kind of take it. So we have done that so that the ship again floats. And uh, then what we did after doing that, slowly we moved into the post-lockdown scenario. Now, I don't know whether you will agree or not. The lockdown scenario and post-lockdown scenario, I would say the post-lockdown scenario challenges are much more than the lockdown scenario, because the kind of challenges I am facing now in respect to keeping the workforce intact, because now the situation is that you have the community transmission all over. Till till now, I am facing with around 6 people who are positive in the plant. So how to isolate them? What are the societal issues which are related to that? In fact, very small incidences which kept on learning many things. I just share an incident with you, which is very, which may sound to be very trivial, but which can actually stop your entire business line. So the moment I had my first COVID positive patient, uh, he was asymptomatic, but one day a little bit of body pain and other things. So he thought that why to take a chance, let him send for test. Test was done, and he found to be positive. And that person actually shares his room with another four guys. So the moment this happened, we had to send other four guys also for the test. Surprisingly, one of them was symptomatic. That symptomatic guy came to be negative. All other asymptomatic guys were positive. And out of those asymptomatic guy, positive guys, I had the union secretary also in that. Okay. Uh, so it happened. They were contained. They were isolated in a room, and all these things started happening. Very next day, I received a call from them, from the union secretary, saying that the house owner has come with local goons and they are pressurizing us to vacate this house. So these are the kind of social taboos you need to face. So then what do you do? So we had to manage that. We had to take the help of police, and ultimately somehow it happened. So my understanding for last 3 months, if you ask me, it has been all hard hitting. If I talk about a software and hardware, I would say that it was only hardware. I didn't have any time to look into the softer part of HR. Like Kalpana was saying that communication, yes, communication I have done, not maybe in a structured way, but my communication with my stakeholders on a daily basis definitely helped me out to run the business. Capability building, believe me, I could not do anything because my only, my patient was dying. So I had to, at that time, I had to just give him some oxygen and make him breathe. So I'm still doing that. I could not do any innovation. Innovation, if you ask me, in respect to only employee safety and security, we could do certain innovations which will make the employees feel better or make or feel them safer to come to the office or come to the plant. That's what we have done. But it has been all hard hitting kind of thing, and I'm still struggling in that. But I know
Yeah.
it will, yeah.
Shuddha, if you also can talk about the migrant labor issue, you said that was the challenge that you faced
Right.
about shortage of laborers.
Yes.
So how did you manage that?
Yeah. So what we have done, see, when the migrant labor issue happened, I didn't have any alternative source of labor also. Okay. So what we need to do, we need to prioritize because I am having couple of production lines. So different lines handle different kind of products. So I had to prioritize that which of the lines are priority in respect to business, and which of the lines I can defer for the time being. So that prioritization helped, and we could actually, kind of mitigate with the local labors which are available from the local population, that we could manage. So that is one. Secondly, I had to, take special permission from the labor commissioner in respect to running the shift for 12 hours. And there are some relaxation from the labor laws also. So we got a permission to run a 12-hour shift. So that actually, kind of helped me. Instead of 3 shifts, we could run two shifts, and somehow we could manage that situation. But that situation has now, I believe, almost come to a normal kind of scenario because many migrant laborers who has gone from here, they are again coming back.
Okay. Okay. So that's good. Thank you. You spoke about, I think, the agility that was required to deal with the emerging and evolving situation by the day, the new guidelines, new restrictions of government, and new kinds of challenges, unprecedented, unforeseen kind of challenges. You have to quickly respond with a human touch. I think that's the best practice that you are trying to share with all of us. So I'll come to Manpreet. I hope you have been able to, you are able to listen to us. Have you been able to hear Kalpana and
Yeah, I was listening to them only. I was listening to them, but I missed, I think, the first part of it. I could just listen to what Mr. Das was saying.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Okay. So what's your perspective? We are now in this segment talking about the best practices that companies followed
Correct.
in the last 3 months in
Mhm.
dealing with this pandemic situation. So What's your take on this?
Well, I guess in terms of the FMCG, as the name says, everything has to move fast, and the best part about FMCG is that everything comes into the essentials. So even if it is my Davidoff and Segret division, that also has been considered to be, the fastest thing to be basically maybe for the excise duty or a revenue for the state, and the liquor and other things were basically got opened because these are certain things which is really required on a daily basis, and it's you can't store it for a month or all that stuff. The perishable goods are there the way it is. The fact is, I think my friends have already talked about how the mundane work has happened. What I would just want to bring into the knowledge is that, as I was saying, the ABC of business is actually today, if you see, it's alteration, barter, and collaboration. If you have this, even if anything happens, in terms of the virus or anything, the way Das was saying that, we have to cover. The topic which I really like, the fact that part one story is just the COVID story and post COVID story. So if you keep this ABC in your mind, I don't see that much of the challenge will happen, because everybody will have this in mind that whatever we are doing, it is only and only maybe restricted for today, and what is going to be there tomorrow, we really do not know, and we have to be adaptable that very fast. And the fact is that we all are adults. Whosoever are there in any of the organization, they all are above 18 years. Think of those who are the kids, and they have adaptable to the new things. So they know what all in terms of the hygiene, what in terms of the education they have to go around. And that's the beauty, I think. Uh, and everything has become digital. It is bringing a lot of I think that with this very fact that we'll be very, very soon be out of that tag of developing country. We'll be much faster a developed country, because we've been ages that we've been listening that, India is a developing country. So I see in that light, I see that brighter side of it. Anything you would want me to talk about HR, we can talk about that. But I'm right now maybe sounding like more of a business person to you, maybe. Yeah.
No, you talked about ABC. Maybe for the benefit of everyone, you could possibly I think you explained about adaptability.
No,
Uh,
it is about alternate things, when the plan A doesn't work, So as we rightly say, we have
oh, acha,
26
okay,
letters
okay, okay.
in the alphabet. So plan B, plan D. So alternate
Oh, okay,
ways to
okay.
it, So
I see.
the framework, we can't be that very, yes, you're very right. Adaptability is what the way, but A means alternate ways to look at that, how you're going to satisfy your internal and external customer. So as an HR, my internal customer is my employee, right? And of course, my management. As an HR, we are an anchor. We have to bridge up the gap between the two. But as a matter of fact, when in the position of a HOD, any HR sits, then we have to think about the other external customer also, right? So when we are consuming, how things should reach to them, so that they are consuming in such a fashion that your brand equity remains there. Because we as an HR person, we are a brand employer, equity has to be there. So we are a doing employer branding also. We can't let that lose out on the any side of it, that because of the COVID or whatever. Of course, everybody is COVID compliant, and we are following everything. But that's what I meant, that we have to look for the alternate ways to it. What we were doing yesterday may not be possible today, and may be possible if we reinvent ourselves. That's what I meant. And barter is when I'm saying that there are certain things which we have to do in terms of a reduction in the cost, when we talking even barter in a way that today what Das was touching upon, the fact that HR has to go for the some sort of difficult times, because to do the layoff is not an easy for anybody. So the job rotation has happened. There are a lot of things which has happened in terms of, the job enrichment perhaps would have had happened. So that's where I'm saying it's what the barter is basically. What the other person was doing yesterday, I have to do it, and the other what I was doing, the other person went take it. So that's what the barter is. And collaboration is, I think, as everybody knows, it's a teamwork, and we have to collaborate. We can't reinvent. The wheel every day, because these kind of things doesn't let you have that kind of time frame in that way. It doesn't give you that time, so anything which has to happen, it has to happen as of yesterday. So that's what I meant by ABC.
All right, all right. Okay, so we'll I think we have sort of put together quite a few of these best practices. By virtue of our working with the other FMCG companies, we noticed that many of them have kind of done some of these. Possibly one other practice I would like to share with people, those who are listening to this conversation. We noticed another best practice people followed was on this labor supply shortage issue. So what they did is, I think one practice that Shuddha talked about was about using the local labor supply. That's the best that one can do because there is no other supply method which is available at that point of time. We noticed another client of ours. What they did is they looked at an alternate local supply talent pool who were primarily jobless because that particular employer wasn't really working. So what they did is they did not have the necessary skills, but what they sort of course, this is like semi-skilled and unskilled work, which with the efficiency, with the same level of efficiency, they cannot do. Hence, what they did is they said that, okay, this is like a job contract kind of a model. They use them for that period of time so that the operation could actually run. There have been companies, FMCG companies, whose workforce is as high as 80% composed of migrant labor. So when the lockdown sort of extended beyond a period of time, many people started leaving, and hence there was a huge gap. Uh, if you are an essential sector company. So that's one practice that they followed. They kind of innovated the way of engaging labor. I thought I'll just share that with the others. I think the other practices of e-commerce as a channel that Kalpana talked about, then human touch, I think all of us have spoken at length, then restructuring the cost part of it, okay, and how to really engage, involve the employees and the leadership team across the organization pyramid to generate greater buy-in of the psychological buy-in of the employees. So we spoke about many of these things. I hope they are very useful. And also capability development, Kalpana spoke about, that's very useful. Many companies like this Zoom meeting wasn't really something, I mean, digital video meetings wasn't really something what FMCG companies ever practiced. Many FMCGs did not practice. If at all it was practiced, it was more in the
IT.
corporate office and amongst the IT and with the maybe headquarters elsewhere and things like that, a video conference. But this has today become the new norm. And training programs being done outside the classroom, digital training or a hybrid training, people really did not think about. We always, many HR professionals said that for training, we need a classroom, we need practice, we need real observation and stuff like that. But I think things have changed. So these are all the learnings, best practices we leave behind. Now coming to the second aspect of the discussion, very quickly, uh, what if each one of you could speak about the outlook of the future that you hold in your minds, how your consumer behavior is going to change or how technology application is going to change. Uh, just one such trend, if all of you could talk, then the third part, we will come to the HR perspective part of it. So shall we start with you, Shuddha, and then Kalpana, and then Manpreet?
Perfectly all right.
Yeah.
So before I start, I just, as Manpreet joined a little late, one of your old colleagues from Haynes has told me to, kind of share his gratitude to you, Mr. Rafat. I believe you
Oh,
would. Yeah, Rafat is my
Mr.
MD.
Rafatullah.
Rafatullah
Okay,
is
okay,
our
okay.
MD now. So
He's
the
a
moment he,
good dear friend to me. Yes, a dear friend to me.
so he told me to convey his hi to you.
Please do pass on my greetings, and we are often on LinkedIn Connect. Yeah,
Right.
I'm really happy.
Sure, I'll do that. Right. So what Aditya, I think at this point, uh, if you ask me that what is going to be my, kind of strategy in respect to HR going forward, I'm not thinking in a very long-term kind of thing at this point of time. Uh, I would actually say that my strategy would be a little short-term. Uh, because I don't know that after 3 months, after 4 months, when this scare is going to go, how it is going to stop, when the vaccine is going to come, all these unanswered questions are there with me. So I would say that is going to be a very short-term strategy. And I'm trying to take whatever Manpreet and Kalpana has said, and whatever discussion we had, Aditya also you said. I'm just trying to take some clues from that and try to make my kind of vision, the short-term vision, very clear. Couple of things. One is that, as Manpreet rightly said, that uh, business partnering kind of thing you have mentioned in that. So in HR, we have always been saying that I am in a business partner role, but I believe last 3 months and next 3 months is going to be actually acid test of that. That how my business partnering role is going to kind of save my business. So that is one definitely is going to be with me, that I'll try to be, or me and my approach in respect to HR is going to be more business partnering kind of thing. Second is I liked the way Kalpana said about human touch. So business partnering with a human touch, and uh, I definitely liked what it's a learning for me, Manpreet, whatever you said about the ABC. I actually
Thank
like the
you.
I like the A part more, because I believe
Yeah.
what HR has to be now is they have to be agile. So agility is most needed at this point of time, because every day is a changing day. We have always condemned the knee-jerk reactions for HR, right? It's a knee-jerk reaction. No, it's not done. I believe knee-jerk reaction is a norm now. So next 3-4 months, it is going to be norm. We are learning many new norms. Mask was never there with us. It has come. It has become a norm. So knee-jerk reaction is going to be a norm. So I would definitely, I would say that these are the 3-4 things which I will try to kind of take forward. One is fast reactions, agility in reactions, more of human touch in respect to telling people that keep the morale high and the panic low. That is the aim. That the panic is definitely because the moment you open up your operations, there would be positive cases coming in with the community transmission kind of thing coming in now. So you have to keep the morale high and the panic low. That can be done with human touch, and then my first reactions and more of business partnering role. These are the three things I'll take forward from here, Aditya.
Okay, thank you. Kalpana?
I think one thing which is definitely common and the most talked about and the most relevant in these times is definitely agility. Right. So right from consumer behavior to the organization behavior, the kind of innovation that we have to show in these times is all a sign of agility, right? If I talk about consumer behavior, so we are into facial kits and beauty products and cosmetics and all. Facial kits, I don't think people are visiting parlors at luxury. They are only doing for their bare minimum things. We make cosmetics. People are hardly buying makeup because one, they are not moving out of their homes, and secondly, even within makeup, if I look at consumer behavior, I think the max that has changed is the focus on eye makeup, because lips are anyway covered in the mask, so nobody's buying lipsticks. We are making non-transfer lipsticks that this lipstick will not get not make a mark on your mask. So just the way we are, we are absolutely agile, and we are getting this innovation, in our products, in our product portfolio. I think similar innovation and agility we need to show across all functions. Just the way I talked about channels of selling initially, that retail and wholesale is no longer the major channel. The major channel now becomes e-commerce, because people would not want to go to markets and buy stuff. So similarly, right from product portfolio to channels of selling, and eventually it comes to each and every function, right? So when I talk about HR, while we are the custodians of employee engagement, but the employees are all so isolated at the moment, that all the more need to be agile and figure out new ways, innovate new ways of engaging your people. A salesperson who's out alone in the market, how does he take all the necessary precautions, the kind of support that the family is extending in terms of sending the family member to an unknown market at such a high risk, to write to a production floor where there are, as Shudha mentioned, that there are thousands of people on the same floor. One person is tested COVID positive, and then we figure out that how do we trace who all has he been in touch with, whether the plant will be shut, or can we figure out a roster form, or like a week 1, week 2, week 3, or a team 1, team 2, team 3. So all of these are so things that are so agile, things we just thinking on the feet. Everything is so unprecedented. We have no idea what's going to come tomorrow. So I think it's more thinking on the feet, and as Shudha mentioned again, probably knee jerk, but hopefully in a positive sense. So yeah, I think that's the way forward for me.
Yeah. Before I come to Manpreet, if I can go back to Sudha and ask this question, you also spoke about families not really willing to let their dear ones visit work, right? So how did you deal with it? I mean, we as a company also felt. Because we have 10,000 temp staff working for about 200 companies across the country. Many of them, when the manufacturing facility opened up, many of them were unwilling to go. They thought that the wages is like almost like a right, and I will continue to get the wages. Let COVID situation improve, and then I will start going to work. And I'm sure you would have similarly faced this. So how did you deal with it? I think many people who are listening to this have this question. So, yeah, can you share
Yeah,
your
yeah.
experience?
So basically, it's a very tricky situation when the family says that you don't go to work. And the moment, because see what happens in the plant kind of scenario, I'm again taking the example of plant because I'm handling that kind of scenario 70% now. So in plant kind of scenario, what happens? Most of the people, they stay in same apartment. So families are connected.
Yeah,
So the moment one family decides that I will not allow my husband to go to work, it spreads. The
yeah,
entire apartment says that you don't go to work. He is not going. Why you are going? So what we did, we tried to kind of find out these pockets where it is happening. So what we did, we tried to speak to those families personally. So over phone, we have not visited them, but we have in local languages, we have tried to speak to them and make them understand that the plant is a better option for the person to come and work. There are two things which is going to happen. One, the business will survive. If the business survives, the person will also survive. His job will be there. And thirdly, the kind of safety precautions which are there inside the plant are actually going to take care of the husband. So these are the three assurances which we have given to the families. And
right,
believe me, the moment one family in the apartment is convinced, it is having a rippling effect and entire family will get convinced.
right,
So my suggestion is that in this kind of scenario, you try these simple tricks, talk to people, take them into confidence.
yeah,
And after that, and also don't force people, because the moment you force people, you try to lose their trust. So give them the option that if somebody doesn't want to come, if you are having leave balances, please utilize that. But one caution is that the moment leave balance is over, you will be put under leave without pay. your pay is going to be cut. So if you put this kind of conditions very clear and expectation very clear, it can be mitigated. There
Right.
will be some pockets, but you have to go with that.
Right. Absolutely. We actually advise some of our clients to sort of do right from the MD, CEO level to do a recorded kind of a message and spread it through WhatsApp, small video, and then get the next lines of managers to speak to those people in person on the phone. I mean, in person as in one by one on the phone, and explain that basically a trust building activity which is done. So I think a best practice. So let me come to Manpreet, and I have one more best practice to share. I will share that from another client of ours. So Manpreet, yeah, what's your take on the future, and what aspect of HR you think should, make some changes?
Well, I think, a self-acclaimed happiness philosophist. That's what I always say, and I believe in it. And you could see I'm a very calm person. I always connect with the HR and other team member, and they always feel that, I always have my smile intact, and I feel that ultimately, eventually, it's a Murphy law. If something is going to happen, happen. I'm by saying that, I'm not saying that when you are wearing clothes and you shouldn't be careful about it. Of course, there's always there. When you are sitting in a car, you have to have a seat belt and airbags. That's always there and advisable. When you are on a two-wheeler, you should wear a helmet. So if it's a virus, then you should have a gloves and your mask intact, and you should follow what it's been told, MEN, keep washing your hands as much as possible. Because you see, we need to understand the job of HR is to create the kind of the harmony. That's what I've been saying. Rest everything is being given on the Google only. You just need to Google whenever it's possible for you. It's not really a rocket science. But COVID, if you really ask me, is not that very bad as a situation, because if you see, the developed countries have already get back to the real time situation. The only thing is you need to understand what is social distancing. When I'm going for a work, I'm just going for a work, not like that, I'm going for something else. That we have to curtail. So even social distancing, and when we understand that these are the WHO requirement, which one has to follow across the nation, so that's not a problem. So the only problem comes in when there is a knowledge bank is not there. So whether you call it a L&D, whether you call it anything, the job of HR is imparting the knowledge to the people that nothing is going to go wrong with you. Just keep breathing yourself. I am myself doing 105 Surya Namaskar every day. So I am a follower of power yoga. So, certain things which you were not doing initially, you have to have it because you have enough of time. Now, nobody is pressing you that, be there at 9 and leave at 5 and then get stuck in the traffic and everything. So we are having a lot of relaxation. Just keep calm. That is very important. You first look into, so I always say that, first safety, and so safety first, but alert must. You really have to be alert. Even if you are a homemaker, then also you need to take care of everything, right? You will step down to get the essential. You will buy a milk. Amul was always there. I am washing. So people have to follow the sanitization rule. You have to just go for it. And
Sure.
so for my view is that, first of all, you need to be, HR person has to be absolutely happy, because the people look at your face, that is everything okay? Am I getting my salary? Am I am I on the, first of all, on the rolls of the company? Am I being asked? Because if somebody is getting a call from HR, somebody will say that, okay, oh my God, I'm getting a pink slip. So that's what I'm saying, that those are the facts, we need to eliminate. My job is to look at the fact that you are happy as an individual. If
Sure.
today I do not have a assignment for you, but I can recommend you somewhere else, that's what I have done also, because that's what the HR fraternity is all about. That, if today I cannot absorb 10, I can talk about my own company where we were having expansion plans and, focus city, which has further narrowed down. So, but then if somebody is asking me, I am happily giving my recommendations for those people, and I'm just saying that they are the best you can have on, and have my recommendation letter. So HR job is, again, as I'm saying, is first of all, you have to be really happy as an individual. You have to spread that happiness. You have to make people understand that this is nothing wrong in it. You will definitely, the art of making money, you will always be happy. That's not really a problem. How much is not really important at this point in time,
Sure.
right? Because expenditure is also not that very high today if income is not high. So
Sure.
one job is, I can say, Aditya, that people when feel that there is a cut, but I always say that if you don't use this word as a cut, I'm saying it as a contribute. I say that whatever, even 20%, if I am not able to give you, you just consider this 20% is getting contributed to someone else's salary. So they are understanding. So this is the, it's a beautiful song. It's only words, and words can change your world. That's where it is. Then, if somebody is asking you that, Aditya, instead of 1 lakh, you will get 80,000, you feel bad. I will say, Aditya, you are getting 1 lakh, but this 20,000 is going for some other person because I want him to be retained. You'll be happy. Believe you in me, nobody will ever question, and nobody has questioned me. And they were happy that, when this scenario, just because of those things, they themselves has come to me, and I'm telling you, people are absolutely become more human,
Okay.
and they themselves say that, okay. And all the more the HODs, we've never, I like the fact that Das was saying we should not force, but I have said that, okay, I'll be the first one to take this much for myself for this time, and whatever you feel like. And believe you in me, they themselves has come, they were more generous than me. So
Sure.
that's why, we could retain more people at the level which was just about hand to mouth survival for them, 10, 20,000 rupees. So that's where this whole HR
Sure.
comes into play.
So thank you, Manpreet, for that interesting perspective about the, I think, a human ecosystem where one human is made to feel
It's
for
just
the
that
others.
it's just about the playing with the positivity, playing with the word. So
Yeah.
a cut is a very bad word,
Yeah.
something, cutting corners or cutting thing.
It's a
So
contribution.
contribution is something you will always love to, because everybody is understanding that today what we do, we are in a position to contribute. It gives that sense of a happiness also, that you are able to do something, and for
Sure.
your own known people. These are the known faces to you. You would have had to come across to them while working together. That's what I
Sure.
meant. Yeah,
Sure. So good. Thank you, Manpreet, for that
pleasure.
sort of a different kind of a perspective. I wish we had more time to kind of debate this. We have spent roughly about an hour. I think we should sort of wind it up now.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we
yeah.
will be keeping on talking about it. So, any last words from each one of you, and then we are good to close this session. Starting with you, Shraddha. Any last word, last sentence, one word, whatever.
That's what COVID is going to be. COVID is a part of life. Let us accept it and move forward. Keep the positivity. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Shraddha. Kalpana.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. Probably it'll lead to a great learning. So, 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line, I think we're going to all talk about it with so much pride that there was so much of unprecedented and uncertain situations, but this is how we
Well,
fought it, and we literally, came out well. So I'm sure it's going to lead to a lot of, lot of learning, probably the best learnings of our career.
Yeah.
And yeah, probably that's another way of looking at it positively. So, yeah.
Thank you. I think great thought. Sure. Manpreet, you just spoke at length. Is there anything you want to further say?
No,
Or?
no, just one word. Just see the brighter side of your life. That's it. Be
Absolutely.
it personal or professional, anything and everything will, pass on. There's nothing which stays, even if the tough times. It's and if my friend Shuddha Das is there, so Rafat used to say, he's the MD, that it's not the tough times which stays, but the tough people. And of course, see the brighter side of life, be it your
Absolutely.
personal life or professional. That's it, and be happy. That's what I have to say.
Absolutely. I think with that positive note, let's bring it to the end. From our side, I think we see this FMCG as a sector is a very important contributor for the Indian economy. Fourth largest sector, about 100 billion US dollars kind of a market. It's growing at 9-10%. I think tremendous amount of opportunity, the amount of demographic advantage that India has, the demand. Potential that the market presents to the players, the future is surely bright. The technology deployment and the new practices and learnings that we are all going through in this process is going to be extremely valuable for all the HR professionals, business leaders as we go forward. So Rupal, anything you want to say to close it?
Yeah, I think it was a great session. Thank you all for taking time out and joining us. So, as we all discussed, I think difficult times bring out the best out of us, be it capability building, be it trust building, as all of you said. Agility, I think, is the need of the hour, and that's what all of us are working at. So it's just a matter of time, as Manpreet says, let's be calm, let's keep calm and keep positive. I'm sure we will know how to live through the new normal. So all the best to all of you all to make the best out of this situation. And we at CL would look forward to help you out with the people process. Wherever you would need our support, we'll be happy to help.
Thank you very much, each one of you. We enjoyed hosting you. Looking forward to staying in touch. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye bye.
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 Bye
Bye.
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 Thanks.